Happy holidays, everybody. Are you ready for the crowds and the chaos?
We are trying to avoid this line, and we're just trying to get home. This is a mess.
Make the wrong call when it comes to weather and flying, and you could be grounded.
Everything is just canceled.
When the weather is more naughty than nice, the delays and cancellations start piling up.
You know you won't be home for family and can't do anything about it.
Airlines, airports, and pilots work hard to avoid Scrooging your holiday travel, but Mother Nature could always dump coal in your stocking.
It can be a non-event, and we can be a blizzard, so we have to be ready to go at all times.
But Fox Weather can help. I'm on a mission to get you home for the holidays. It's my turn to open the cabin door and learn all about the work behind the scenes, from how pilots train.
All right, so it looks like we're getting into a buttload of a bunch of different types of weather. The wintry, thunderstorm, icing, turbulent mix. We got every type of weather condition that you probably don't want to go up in.
To getting into the cockpit. To how airport operations respond to storms. So fasten your seatbelts and prepare for takeoff. Everything that you need to know to avoid a flightmare this holiday season starts now. This is Turbulence. I love to fly, except when it stinks, and many times it's the weather to blame. Most days, you'll find me right here in Studio W as a meteorologist and host on Fox Weather. It's 3 o'clock on the East Coast, noon out west. I'm Ian Oliver, and this is Fox Weather Now. But you might also find me here on my way to cover a storm or a story someplace in America. Everything from hurricanes to blizzards, ice storms, polar plunges, and ski series. But to get there, it's the same drill every time for all of us. Whether traveling for business or pleasure, maybe a trip home for the holidays to see the family, millions of Americans travel by air every year. And taking to the skies means dealing with the weather. Aidan O'Donnell is the general manager of New Jersey airports for the Port Authority, responsible for the day-to-day operations and long-term projects at the airport.
We do almost 50 million passengers a year here at Newark Liberty. If it doesn't work well here, the rest of the country is going to feel it.
Bumps, delays, layovers, it's all part of it. As a meteorologist and frequent traveler, I want to explore how the weather affects flying and how we can fly safer, faster, and with a little more peace of mind. And for me, this has been a passion for as long as I can remember. I had dreams of flying as a kid, not as a passenger, but up in the cockpit, behind the controls. I wanted to be a pilot. My dream job was to fly a military aircraft. I learned very early into my aviation journey that red-green color blindness would ground my fighter pilot dreams. So instead, I had to pivot to my other strangely early in life passion, meteorology. But today, I get to do both. I'm going to learn how to fly in bad weather, so perhaps you don't have to. Or at least you know what happens if you do. And much of that depends on what happens before you ever take off on the runways and tarmacs of the airport. For that, I swung by Newark Liberty International Airport, which has a long and storied history.
So as passengers are leaving what is known to be the nation's first airport terminal, it's the historic Building 1 and the Administration Building.
EWR is one of 5 airports operated by the Port Authority of New York and New Jersey, along with JFK and LaGuardia, plus New York Stewart International and Teterboro in New Jersey. Newark's airport is big. It occupies more than 2,000 acres of land in northern New Jersey and is one of the busiest airports in the world. 48.9 million passengers and 710,000 tons of air cargo move through it in 2024 alone. Keeping this behemoth of an airport running smoothly and efficiently is no easy task, especially when the weather doesn't cooperate. From rain to thunderstorms to snow, strong winds, the weather plays a crucial role for departures and arrivals.
Weather is always top of mind. I say weather stays top 5 in terms of things that we're thinking about, things that we're worried about.
The weather conditions and forecast are monitored from the Port Authority's Administration Building, which serves as the hub of operations for both Newark Airport and nearby Teterboro.
From a day-to-day perspective, we are constantly monitoring the weather, right, in terms of how that can impact us so we can best prepare.
So Tiffany, what is this place? It feels like there's a lot being monitored, probably some shots get called in this room.
Exactly. So what you're seeing right now is our Airport Operations Center at Newark Airport. Essentially is the centralized communications hub for us. You have a lot of different folks positioned and assigned to monitoring certain aspects for the airport. Really the intent is to make sure that we have situational awareness of anything to proactively address any issues that might arise.
And part of being proactive means monitoring the weather forecast closely, all day, every day of the year. So seamless is the mission, right? Yes. But what happens when bad weather throws a wrench in that? Which are some of the stops here that would be activated at that point?
Sure. Well, everything is always activated here. They are here 24/7.
Is there a kind of weather that is the worst to cause headaches in this room?
Oh, the worst? Perhaps maybe thunderstorms, because we don't really have much control over that, right? When you have lightning within a certain distance of the airport, we do, for safety reason, have to suspend our fueling operations, and also within a certain distance from the airport, we do notify the airport community because they have safety measures in place where they actually, the ground crew, like operating on the ramp, do need to vacate for their safety. So that, unfortunately, is something we can't control as it relates to weather and thunderstorms.
But the busiest time of year at airports is around the holidays, and that means snow is a big part of the equation. I would imagine it's a pretty high threshold to actually shut things down. Where is that mark? Is there a weather condition where you're like, this is where we shut things down here?
We try not to shut things down. We do everything in our power to make sure everything keeps open. So, I mean, snow operations is a very large operation. We do a lot of preparedness for that.
The Port Authority has an entire building dedicated to housing the equipment they deploy before, during, and after the snow starts falling. And that includes this monstrous machine that's used to clear off the runways. Since the mid-1940s, teams here have removed more than 2,000 inches of snow. But look at the size of this. I mean, I know when it snows, roads get slick, it's tricky to drive. When there's snow on the runway, planes can't land. That's a problem unless you have a rig like this. And then you move all the way ahead to the front of this. Plows take care of the road so we can drive safely, but for runways, you need really big plows. This has got to be 30 feet, 25-foot plow, and it's a big rig that pushes this thing. The Port Authority has 14 of these. I got to see what it looks like inside. Let's climb up into this thing. You need the ladder, boom.
Equipment that we have and the equipment that our staff here maintain and operate is tremendous. Really what goes into that as we look into the winter weather months is making sure that all of that equipment at a moment's notice is ready to go.
The key weather variable that is crucial for every single flight from takeoff through landing is wind. It's also something that every pilot trains for before getting their license to fly. So I head to Farmingdale State College's Aviation Center to investigate more about how wind and weather impact flying. Chris Sircone is a flight instructor here. He gave me a tour of the center. Chris, what's happening?
Nice to meet you, Ian.
You do some flying today?
Well, I'm going to show you how it's done. We try to train for the worst possible scenario as often as we can and as much as we can. One of the main things being getting weather briefing. So through their computer, they can get an online weather briefing, or they can call a weather briefer and listen to a real weather professional.
Chris takes students from the classroom all the way to in-flight instruction.
Our Piper Warrior over here is a very basic trainer, where when we get into something like our Piper Seminole over there, which is a multi-engine aircraft, it has some more advanced systems that can help us.
Before we get in the cockpit for the real thing, Farmingdale has a flight simulator. I've been eyeballing it since we arrived. Let's hop into the sim. My 16th birthday, all I ever wanted to do, I actually wanted to be a military pilot.
Yeah.
And my 16th birthday present, my parents got me an introductory flight lesson, something like this. And then we went out to the airfield. We got in the Cessna, took the fuel sample, and the instructor asked me if I could see like a blue tinge, that's the thing, in the fuel sample, and I was like, no, what am I supposed to? But now, all these years later, I get my chance to get up in the air. All right, Bree, this is getting nasty now. When I come back, I fly in the simulator and see what actually happens in bad weather and how pilots deal with it. If you've ever traveled by air, odds are you've dealt with weather delays or even cancellations. I want to learn more about how weather affects the flight experience for all of us. Decisions aren't made lightly in aviation, and the number one priority of pilots is to make sure they can fly safely before taking off. So I'm headed to the source, taking a lesson in how pilots navigate weather.
Well, this is runway 23 left. As you walk down, as you're taxiing down, you see the flags up there on the side. It's all about the wind, right? We want to take off into the wind because that's what creates lift. When the wind comes across the top of the wing and the bottom of the wing, they separate. That's Bernoulli's principle.
Let's look at the science behind how planes fly using Bernoulli's principle. Air moves faster above the wing and slower under the wing because of the airfoil shape. That causes pressure to decrease above the wing and pressure to increase below it. That pressure difference, along with the angle of the wing, is what actually gives the plane lift, and that lift becomes a force greater than gravity. And now that we have that covered, let's hop into the sim. So Chris, this is the spot right here. This is where it all goes down.
Yes, it is. So this is our simulator room where we have 4 Redbird simulators where we can go ahead and put students into inclement weather scenarios and get them trained before they ever have to do it in a plane.
So the bad weather happens in here first before students experience any of that in the real world.
Exactly. And right here we have Bree. Why don't you go ahead and take a seat and Bree will
Bree?
show you what we do.
All right, let's do it. Tight squeeze. All right, Bree, we made it into the sim. Chris got us taking care of everything that we needed to do on the ground. It appears as though we've taxied to the runway. What are we sitting in? What is this?
So right now you're sitting in one of our Redbird simulators. Right now it's simulating a single engine aircraft with what we have over here is a G1000 avionics layout. Over here we have your primary flight display that gives you all your flight instruments information, and then over here we have a multifunctional flight display that gives GPS information. Runways are laid out magnetically. So however the runway is laid out, you'll take whatever is the winds are favoring. So
but
for
we
example,
want to take off
we want to take
into
off into the wind. Exactly. So let's say the winds are coming from 140, you want to take off into the direction of the wind.
Okay. And that's something that pilots have to navigate not only for takeoff, but even more importantly, for landing as well.
So we always take off and land into a headwind, but we can't control that. And so sometimes you have a crosswind. So we've got to teach students really early on how to deal with a crosswind, how to make that correction so they can track straight down the runway and make a safe, aligned with the runway landing so that we're not ending up in the grass on the side of the runway.
So we got the sim now set up for a nice sunny, clear day.
This is like today.
This is exactly like today. Nice, beautiful, calm day. Relatively no winds today, just to keep it easy for you. So what we'll do is we'll start off rolling down the runway, and then we're going to take off and climb out probably around to 2,000 feet today, just to get you used to how to fly the plane. So I'm going to be here just monitoring the controls to help you out if you need any help. And when you're ready, you're going to go full forward on the throttle.
With Bree by my side to help monitor the controls, it's my turn to give the simulator a shot.
The plane wants to start to go to the left. You're going to apply just a little bit of this right rudder just to maintain that center line. Just a touch. Very sensitive. There you go.
Got it.
Perfect. You see how that airspeed's coming alive?
Yeah.
So once you get to around 60, right around here, start applying back pressure. There you go. Start applying back pressure until we get that nose just on the horizon. Right there. Perfect.
And here we go. Wheels up. We're flying. Virtually, at least.
Just make sure it says about 142, so 142 degrees. There you go. Looking beautiful.
We're heading toward the Atlantic.
Exactly, we're heading out straight to the ocean. Looking beautiful. You see out in front of you, you see that row of red lights? Right at about our 12 o'clock.
See, that's the airport. This is why I'm a weather guy and not a pilot, because the red lights are a little problem for me. And as quickly as we got up in the air, it's time to come back down and deal with the challenges of wind again. Now, how important is, we talked about wind direction with takeoff. How is that going to dictate how we approach the airport and how we land?
Different airports and different runways have certain types of traffic pattern and the direction, but the standard is left. So for example, the runway that we are, or at least I'm looking at right out here that has certain types of lights, it's going to be this open area that you see right over here. If we were to simulate talking to tower, we would ask for instructions and they would tell, hey, enter the left downwind for runway 14. So right now we're on a set course.
So when you say downwind though, we're going to land with the wind?
No, so
Against it.
you want to land against it.
Right.
The downwind is with the wind, because if you have the runway, the downwind's this leg where you're flying with the wind, but you're still in the air. And then as you're coming to the base, you're squaring yourself off. And then the final is where you're opposing the wind for that best performance to land into the wind on that.
So that's just giving us a little bit of extra lift at
a little
at
extra
lower
lift and
speeds.
better power. Yep, exactly. A little bit extra performance as well. And now as we're coming down, I'm gonna apply a little bit more back pressure, more. Beautiful.
Boom.
You landed right on the runway. Perfect job. All right, and then what we do is, actually what you can do is apply a little bit of brakes. So if you put your toes up on the top, there's your brakes right there. And then we'll come to a stop on that runway. Awesome job. There
Back on the ground.
Back on the ground. Perfect.
But not every flight can be a smooth one. Now it's time for me to learn about flying in the wilder weather. Mike Tyson said, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. It's easy to be an all-star when you can see all around you, you got blue skies, something completely different when visibility is down to nothing.
All right, so it looks like we're getting into a buttload of a bunch of different types of weather. It looks like we got some type of
wintry mix.
Exactly, the wintry thunderstorm, icing, turbulent mix. We got every type of weather condition that you probably don't want to go up in. So right now what we have set up is IMC, Instrument Meteorological Conditions, or IFR, Instrument Flight Rules.
IMC refers to instrument meteorological conditions, which are meteorological conditions expressed in terms of visibility, distance from clouds, and ceiling or low clouds less than the minima specified for visual meteorological conditions, or in other words, times when you can't see. And then IFR refers to instrument flight rules, which are the rules governing procedures for conducting instrument flight. It's also a term used by pilots and controllers to indicate the type of flight plan.
So the people who legally are able to take off and land and go out into this situation are people who instrument rated, and they have filed an IFR flight plan.
So if you don't have that license and you haven't filed a plan, you have no business being in a cockpit.
You got no business unless you're a student with somebody like an instructor who's certified.
In a student's initial training, when they're a primary student, they're visual only for the most part. We're not taking them into low visibility conditions or into the clouds. They've got to learn how to fly visually with reference to the outside first. Once they get their private pilot certificate, the next step naturally is to get their instrument rating so that they can go up into low visibility or in the clouds.
But today, in the simulator, I have a safe way to learn how to fly in these conditions, because once I have to actually take flight, it's going to be a whole different ball game.
Once you leave the runway, we're going to just be looking at gray. So once we round out and you're in the air, your eyes are going to be looking straight down here.
This is a bit more unsettling.
It is a bit more unsettling, exactly. So let's start making a slight turn. Perfect, right there.
So now I'm lost as far as how we're going to get this bird back to the airport, though.
Yes, exactly. So if you were going to be taken off in IMC, usually for an instrument thing, you would take an instrument approach back, and you would have to actually program an instrument approach in.
That's where not having the windshield is a little bit harder.
It is. There's no reference to horizon, right? So now you got to really rely on those instruments.
Is there a type of, it may be this, because I'm sure the plan is to avoid much worse, but is there a type of weather that is most misunderstood that folks would think, hey, that's probably not an issue and it actually is a big headache?
Well, I feel like some people, especially like passengers, for example, they don't understand the dangers of flying in IMC conditions. I don't think they understand how trusting your instruments is such a big factor. Because once you're actually in it, as a pilot in the plane, you get very disoriented by how you feel. Passengers, they're sitting in the back, they see the plane's doing fine.
All right, Breeze, this is getting nasty now.
Apply a little bit of forward pressure. We don't want to get too slow, especially now that we have some type of icing. Icing's reducing the amount of lift that's being produced by the end or the wings.
In these conditions, planes go through a process of de-icing. De-icing planes is done when frost, snow, slush, or ice begins to accumulate on airplane surfaces when temperatures are below freezing. The time it takes to de-ice a plane can vary, but it can range from 15 minutes to an hour depending on the aircraft size.
So we want a good amount of airspeed just to make sure that we're able to achieve a good amount of lift. So what I want you to do now is I want you to turn left to a heading of 320, all right? Perfect. Now you see how the nose is coming down? Just a little bit of back pressure just to try and stop a little bit of that descent. We're still keeping a little bit of airspeed and power just so that we don't get too slow, because remember we have some type of icing buildup and we don't want to get too slow and end up having to stall. Perfect job.
So this would be like flying in a nor'easter, more or less.
Something like that, if you want to go into a snowstorm, fun stuff. Something I'm not too fond of trying out. And there's runway 14 for you. Perfect. Beautiful job. So keep that turn coming. We're gonna apply a little bit of power to get ourselves on a stabilized approach. And for today, instead of 65, we're gonna try and hold about 70 to 75 for our approach speed. Because remember, we have icing. We want to keep a good speed so that we still have a good amount of lift coming into land.
We can skid to a stop.
Exactly. Like all the snow and ice on the runway. We're having a hard time. There you go. Awesome job.
All right.
Perfect.
We made it.
We did it. We survived.
If those nasty conditions in the simulator don't make you nervous, turbulence probably will. We've all seen these frightening videos, intense turbulence causing panic on a plane.
Those guys up front have so many more options. They can fly through turbulence that would knock you off your feet. The airplane will take it.
It's time to learn all about it. What exactly causes turbulence? How much is safe for an airplane? How do pilots plan and navigate around it? I'll enter the cockpit and experience some turbulence in my first flight behind the controls.
All right, Ian, put your hand on control. All right, you can make a right turn.
Now it's time for me to get some actual experience in the cockpit. So I'm going from the simulator to the real thing. And on the next episode of Turbulence, I'll experience some turbulence myself.
Okay, that's it. We're ready.
And just like that, I'm airborne. It's a little intense. Eyes up at the horizon and all the points of interest, eyes down at the instruments in front of me. We're also listening to air traffic control the entire way, and Joe is showing me the ropes.
Keep the nose near the horizon, not on the horizon, and then roll it out with a little bit of right rudder. Okay. All right, Ian, put your hand on control. All right, and let's see, are we clear right or left? You can make a right turn. Yeah, you did. That's a good bank right there. Just hold it. A little bit of back pressure. Just a tad of rudder. A little tight of right rudder. A little bit more back pressure. Okay, let's roll it back to level flight. Looks natural. Okay, and let's make a left turn. All right. Looking good. Let's go ahead and make a left turn here. The air going over the mountain causes a little bit of a roll, and they can cause some turbulence. Okay. But on a day like this, the winds are light. So emphasis, something like that. That's just your knowledge of flying in this area. Are there any indicators? Training that I've had over the years, yeah. I've gone through a lot of weather training too. I would even consider myself a weather expert, but not to your level. But aviation weather is my...
I wanted to ask you that. It seems like with weather and aviation, everybody that's an aviator has that weather bug. I think there's a big fraction of weather people that love aviation too.
You're forced into it because your moral and your check rides, they ask you things. Even sources of weather, they ask you where they're, NOAA and international charts, all kinds of whack charts. Well, that's old school. Where you get the weather and how to interpret it. We all know how to do the term Celsius and the Fahrenheit. Read a meter.